let's go. It's time. Got my Titans gear on. Titans socks, Titans pants, jersey, the jacket. Of course, I always wear this wristband that I got personally from the Tennessee Titans organization. Personally. Not only that, but they also gave me that Oilers pennant you see up there, that Titans hat, this Titans badge, and these four bumper stickers you see up there. Don't know if you got a good view on it. The Titans Nation, we are ready. Want to get the camera adjusted all right? Probably don't get the best view. However, it's more about the audio, right? It's more about what they're talking about. Alright. So it's time for Robert Saleh's first interview on this. I was confused why it didn't release on the Tennessee Titans channel. However, I saw that they started a new channel called Titans Press Conferences. So this might be where they do all their press conferences. Read the channel description. An official Tennessee Titans press conference. Gotta subscribe to that channel. Let me do that real quick. Okay. Under 2,000 subscribers too. I usually only subscribe to content creators that I really like and I feel like they make really good videos. So yeah, I usually try having 12 or less subscribers. But there, I subscribe to the Titans press conference and the official Tennessee Titans channel. Also subscribe to the Tune Tone Talk podcast. He's a Titans super fan that makes videos about the Tennessee Titans too, so I'm all tightened up, Won't miss a single piece of NFL news from the Tennessee Titans. And if I do, then the 3 other NFL channels I'm subscribed to will talk about it. Anyways, probably looks kind of dark from here. I'm gonna turn the light back on, but for now, let's put this on and let's watch.
Hi, good afternoon. Before we get started here today, I'd just like to first recognize the essential workers that have been out in our community the last 5 days, helping all that have been impacted by this ice storm here this past weekend. It's not lost on me or our team here, the effort and work that's going on to help to get this city back up and running. We know that it's an ongoing process, and we're just thankful for the people that are working tirelessly to help. Well, this is a special day here. I want to thank everyone for being here. We are very excited. It's an exciting day here for the Tennessee Titans organization and fan base, as we are set to introduce our new leader and head coach. I would like to first thank Amy for our unwavering support throughout this head coaching search, as well as Kenneth and Burke for their belief and trust in our process. There's been a lot of time and effort here invested to get to this day here today. I couldn't have done it without the help of so many people, particularly our search committee that we put together with Chad, Dave, Dan, and Reggie. Thank you. When I first met with the committee, I thought it was important to clearly define what we wanted in our next head coach. Ultimately, what we wanted was a leader for this football team that could build a winning culture and connect the entire building. We were looking for a leader with high character, integrity.
So, while I was adjusting the camera, I was listening to what he was saying. And, he talked about getting a coach that will give us a winning culture. And Robert Saleh's that kind of guy. He isn't like Brian Callahan or Mike McCoy who autographed my Titans football. He's a really nice person, just not the best coach. He's not like those people. Like Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, he is like someone like who's aggressive. And that's kind of what Cam Ward is like. Right, my guy got that signed jersey up there. That's kind of what C Boogie is like, though. He likes to get loud and get rowdy whenever he plays. And I feel like that fits Robert Saleh's personality. I know he's a defensive-minded head coach, but, they're gonna see each other. It's not like they're just gonna avoid each other, of course. You know what I'm trying to say. Robert Saleh is someone that can help find this Tennessee Titans culture. Because we haven't really had a culture. We were kind of just nothing this NFL season. And last NFL season, too. I mean, you could even argue the season before that. And the season before that, we haven't really found our culture. But, this is who we are as the Titans. We're going to play hard. We're not going to be nice. This is what football's like. That's what I want our culture to be like.
Humility. A leader with high football IQ and great teaching skills. A leader with clearly defined standards that had the ability to hold people accountable in this organization. A leader with a clear vision, plan, and process for this team. A leader with a high level of organization and detail. And finally, we wanted a leader that was relentless and committed and had a passion for this job. After a long, extensive search process, that leader for us was Robert Saleh. I've long admired Robert from afar, competing against his teams over the years. The one thing that always stood out to me was his energy and passion that he exhibited on the field. And one of the big takeaways for me is I used to stand pregame on the field and watch Robert with his players, and sometimes go down after the game and be on the sideline. His players loved playing for him. I'm just thrilled now that
Robert Saleh does seem like that kind of guy that you would want to play for. I kind of see that. He's like a fun head coach. We have Mike Borgonzi. Listen, I trust in Mike Borgonzi, okay? He made the right decisions. He didn't want to hire Matt Nagy just because, him and Matt Nagy were friends back in Kansas City. No. He did what's right, and I completely respect that. Matter of fact, I love that decision that he made to get Robert Saleh. And he made sure that he was able to bring in the right offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll. Right? The only thing, Mike Borgonzi's great in interviews, social media, all of that. He's great in drafting. He's great in finding a head coach. The only thing that I feel like I'm suspicious about, and it's hard to trust him, this one thing is, the moves that he makes. Not drafting, but, free agency and trades, signing Dan Moore Jr. to, a 4-year, $72 million deal. Wasn't that it? Despicable. That was terrible. And trading Jarvis Brownlee Jr., someone who could have been a franchise cornerback in Tennessee, for a bag of chips from the Jets. Really? Really? But I feel like I can forgive him for that if he's willing to make better moves this free agency, you know? Because we have over $100 million in cap space, right? Like, we can do some good things in free agency. And if there's a time for Mike Borgonzi to redeem that Jarvis Brownlee Jr. trade and signing Dan Moore Jr. for that horrific deal, it's now. There's a time for him to redeem himself, and it is now.
You guys here, our players, have an opportunity to play for Coach Saleh. I am so excited here to get started to work with him, to build this together into a championship caliber team that our Titans fan base can be proud of. It's an honor to introduce the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Robert Saleh.
Welcome to Tennessee, Robert Saleh. Let's get this press conference on our way.
Mike McDaniel. I'm not a big opening statement guy, but
yeah.
I do want to thank a lot of people, starting with the Tennessee Titans and especially with Sammy for this opportunity. Chad, Mike, it's been an unbelievable experience just going through this entire process. The San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, that's kind of something that I can question about the Titans. Our owner, Amy Adams Strunk, like, she needs to sell the team. Like, that is the issue. Like, things have been going better for Tennessee. However, really, if she didn't choose to fire Mike Vrabel and, you know, that disastrous A.J. Brown trade, but that wasn't really her fault. That was the GM's fault, John Robinson. Like, yeah. And, like, Chad Brinker, the assistant GM, I don't think there's too many stuff wrong with him. I'm not too familiar with him. However, he hasn't really done anything wrong. I know he isn't as great as Mike Borgonzi, of course, but, like, you know, he hasn't done anything terrible, so I'm fine with Chad Brinker as assistant GM. I'm not saying he's done anything great, but he hasn't done anything bad, so if I'm gonna keep it a buck, he's solid.
Family, the Shanahan family, the fans, just everybody over there, just so thankful for the opportunities they gave. My family, just being by my side, my wife, my kids, my parents are here, my brother, just thankful for all of them. And obviously, the most important piece to all of this, our players who are all back there. Can't wait to work with y'all, man. It's going to be freaking fun. We're going to get after it day after day. We're going to get better. We're going to bring a championship home, and it's going to start with you guys. But with that said, I'll open it up to you guys, and I'm looking forward to this. Good?
Great. All right, we'll start Q&A. We'll start with Teresa over here, and then we'll circle around, okay, guys? Just raise your hand and get all of you, okay?
Hi, Robert. Teresa Walker, the Associated Press. This being your second time around as a head coach, what's maybe the biggest lesson that you take into this second time from your first chance?
You know, I'll be honest, like, there's no handbook to a first time at anything you do, you know? And what I would say, the proper question would be, what didn't I learn? You know, and there's so much to gain from any time you're in the chair as a head coach, and there's so many learning experiences that I had. So I can sit here and talk to you for the next 4 hours about all those different things, but I can assure you that there was tremendous growth through the opportunity that I had with the Jets, and through that growth, I think I'm more prepared now than I've ever been to attack this position.
Hi, Robert. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com. Can you walk us
I'm still
through
listening. I had to fix my chain
for Cam Ward and how you
and get a drink of water.
Expect to get the most out of him heading into his second year and into his career?
No, absolutely. Great question, too. You know, like Cam, from everything that I've gathered, just all the disposition.
Hi, Robert. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com. Can you walk us through a bit your plan for Cam Ward and how you and Brian expect to get the most out of him heading into his second year and into his career?
No, absolutely. Great question, too. You know, like Cam,
Sorry, I was gonna say something earlier, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
from everything that I've gathered, just all the discussions I've had throughout the building and throughout the league, comes with an elite work ethic, elite character, an elite person. And, you know, when you look at his body of work as a rookie, a lot of these rookies, when they come in through the middle of OTAs. But so the biggest thing that we're going to work with Cam, just going all the way back to the beginning, you know, we've gotten a whole off season to work with him, taken back to the very, very beginning, both on the field, off the field, the process at which, what it looks like to not only be a professional with regards to preparation in his body, but as a professional with regards to preparing from a game planning standpoint or a playbook standpoint. But, you know, just talking with Daves over the course of the last few weeks, he is the perfect man to match up with Cam and to maximize who he is. So again, we're really pumped to get to work with Cam. And
It's not just that, it's like the other way around too. Like Brian Daboll is also the best guy for C Boogie is the nickname I call him. Like Cam and Brian Daboll just fit great together. I mean, Brian Daboll, like even last year, well not last year, I guess it's still technically this year, when Jackson Dart was playing, he was doing a lot better under Brian Daboll than he was like at the end of the season when, you know, Brian Daboll was fired from the Giants. So like he's gonna be a great offensive coordinator. And like he's gonna feel, I think I said this before, and it sounds cringe to say, it feels cringe to say, but it's the truth. He's gonna feel more than just an offensive coordinator, right? He's kind of gonna feel like that second head coach, because Saleh's gonna be focused on the defense most of the time, because he's a defensive-minded coach. He's a great defensive-minded coach, but he's still a defensive-minded coach. So that's why we need someone like Brian Daboll to work with, or Brian Daboll to work with Cam. And you know, we have Robert Saleh, you know, Mike Borgonzi, Brian Daboll, and John Fossil, who's our special teams coordinator. All we need is that defensive coordinator to build a fabulous five when it comes to management and coaching. So, I mean, the defensive coordinator definitely won't be as important as the offensive coordinator, but it's still going to matter. We still need someone to help out Saleh.
get him to where we all know he can be.
Robert, Jim White with TennesseeTitans.com. What do you want your team to look like on Sundays? What do you want them to be known for week in and week out?
Fast and violent, man. Play in and play out. We're going to play with speed. We're going to play confident. We're going to have some swag. Talk a little.
No,
but
that's crazy.
I want them to show who they are. Play in and play out. And like I said, the one thing that you'll notice is the speed.
Wow, okay, I'm glad that the Titans channel censored that out for me. Yeah, I'm against cussing. But, I mean, hey, I've seen, like, some of these Christian Tennessee Titans players cuss before, you know. Like, you gotta get invested into the game, and I'm not promoting it, but, like, you know, definitely get fired up, like he said. Violent and fast. So, a fun fact about Robert Saleh, I checked. I'm pretty sure he's the first Muslim NFL coach, and, you know, I said this before, I'm a Christian. However, I can respect that, you know.
Which we play in the violence at which we do it.
We are Robert
Terry
Saleh.
McCormick, Main Street Media Publications. Wanted to talk to you ask you about Brian Daboll and how much control you're going to give him of the offense and what that will look like or what you want it to look like.
You know, obviously, Dave's and I have a tremendous relationship dating back to our time in New York. obviously on opposite sidelines, but
Yeah.
great empathy for one another and just going through those experiences. But whenever you look at the dynamics of a head coach with his offensive,
Yeah, because, Robert Saleh was the head coach and Brian Daboll was the head coach of the Giants. And, this is great. I just have to stop and think about. We went from having a head coach of no coaching experience and an offensive coordinator of no coaching experience. Really, the only reason Nick Cole, as our offensive coordinator, was there was just because he was friends with Brian Callahan. Let's be honest. So it's great that we get to go from no coaching experience between our head coach and offensive coordinator to now both of them being former head coaches. And I don't feel like Robert Saleh even deserved to get fired. Going with Zach Wilson and, whenever you got Aaron Rodgers, it's still the New York Jets. And started out 2-3, 2-4 maybe, and then you got fired. Robert Saleh deserves a second chance, and we're here to give Robert Saleh a second chance.
Coordinator, defensive coordinator. Obviously, it's no different than kind of the way Kyle kind of handled me as a defensive coordinator. There's full autonomy with regards to game planning and putting together the playbook and the scheme that's best for this group of players. But at the same time, there's always going to be discussion in terms of what it's going to take between offense, defense, and special teams, what type of game plan we need to formulate in all three phases to win a football game. And week to week, that's always going to be different. But the communication, the collaboration, the expectations, all those will always be communicated amongst the entire staff. And the idea being that while there's three phases to football, we're still one team. And those discussions will always be had.
Go ahead, Ben.
Nick Suss with the Tennessean. When you talk about the lessons you learned from New York, I'm curious, what are some of the specific things that you plan to do differently or you intend to do differently than obviously the
I don't know
Jets?
if we have time, man.
Let's start us off with some big ones.
There's little things, I don't want to get in great detail on all that stuff, just for sake of just individuality and all that. But just one thing, and it's such a small thing. I didn't call plays in New York, and I just kind of gave it all to the coordinators, even though we were still part of the game planning and all that. I joke with Borgo on game day.
Borgo.
Call plays. I felt like I was just
Is that
a
gonna
timeout
be-
red flag guy. I was just.
Is that going to be the nickname for Mike Borgonzi? Borgo? You know what? It's not a bad nickname. Might use it myself.
Just why I had the greatest seat in the house as a fan, So, calling plays for me, it's not necessarily about control, but it's about connecting with the players. When you are a play caller and you are calling plays, you feel the strain that you're putting on them with each call. You're feeling the connection. You're feeling what each one is going through. And again, like I said, I can feel the weight of the play call on individual players in those moments. And to be able to call plays and maintain that connection, maintain that feel for what the players are going through, I think is very, very important from my seat. And it's just one of the many things that'll change throughout my tenure.
To run down for ESPN, they call me TD.
TD.
Yes, sir, TD. Yes.
Okay.
My question is in regards to Brian Daboll, and as you competed against him and you look back on that, how much did that go into a level of difficulty going against him? How much did that go into your selection? And with Daboll having the ties to the Earhart Perkins scheme, how much do you feel that's going to work for Cam?
I think it's going to work great. There's a lot of layers to this one. First off, Kyle Shanahan is one of the biggest, best offensive minds in all of football, period. And if you look at the NFL landscape right now, his offense and his influence is all over the league. Probably, I would argue, 80 to almost 90% of the league. And so Dave's is going to be different. So from a game planning standpoint, and I'm just speaking for myself, as a defense.
Yeah, this interview, it's going great so far. I'm subscribed to Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans press conference, and the Two Tone Talk podcast, right? This offseason, it's gonna be great. And I noticed he has nicknames for everyone. Dabes for Dayball, Borgo for Borgonzi. I actually like that Borgo nickname. But yeah, I feel like this is just going great. This, like, honestly might be one of the best Tennessee Titans interviews I've ever heard so far. I just want to say that.
As a coach, you're going through it, just looks like every offense is the same. But when you play the Tennessee Titans, it's going to be different. And so there's a level of game planning that's going to have to change within a week. So that's first. Dave's has had a history of developing young quarterbacks in this league in college and the different stops that he's had. And he's touched many from experience to youth. He has a tremendous amount of experience with tremendous quarterbacks all over. But
yeah, exactly. Josh Allen,
you know, there's a lot
and
of benefits
Jackson
to what
Dart.
he does as a defensive guy, game planning against Dave's. I can tell you that he's always going to strain you both run and pass. He's going to find the run-pass conflicts within your scheme for individual players. He's going to attack out of it, and again, excuse my language, but he's special in that regard. He's a problem to go against.
Hi, Coach Saleh, Lauren Walsh with WSMV4.
Okay, I'm happy though that, like, what Robert Saleh's saying about Brian Daboll. You know, I mean, Brees Hall, he's going to be a free agent. I've heard rumors about us drafting Jeremiah Love, and I hope that doesn't happen. However, I really want us to keep Tajay Spears. I really do. I think he is going to be the franchise running back, my second favorite player in the NFL. Like, we just need to trust in Tajay. That's the truth. Like, I know it's been rough with the offensive line. But, like, whenever he gets open, like, even if you, like, throw him, like, a screen pass, like, if he gets open, he's gonna run fast and he's gonna run hard. And I really trust in Tajay Spears, and I want us to give him another year. I know Pollard probably won't be here next year, and I wouldn't mind us getting someone like Brees Hall. But, like, I really feel like Tajay Spears can be the future running back one in Tennessee.
Here in Nashville. You just described yourself as a defensive coach, and I think in these coaching cycles we see a lot of categorizations, offensive versus defensive types of head coaches. Do you subscribe to that, and how would you categorize yourself given somewhat of a mixture in your background between the two sides of the ball?
I don't. You know, at the end of the day, and again, I maybe had a differentiation, I guess, or a thought when I first got a head job way back when. But after being in the chair, being in this chair isn't about offense, defense, special teams. It's about leading not just a group of players, but an entire building, and getting everybody on the same page and doing things in a way that help you win on Sunday. And so whether you're offense, defense, special teams, in this particular chair, I don't think it matters.
Hey, Coach, Chris Harris, also from WSMV4. We heard Mike talk about the qualities and leadership he was looking for. At the end of the season, we heard Jeffrey Simmons talk about how important a specific type of leader was for this team. What have you found to be the most effective way to lead?
Authenticity. I think, you know, when you look at when you talk to players,
That's actually a really
they
good
want
question.
to be treated like men, and they want to have discussions man to man, you know, and they want to be told the truth. They always want to be know what they want to eliminate gray. They want things black and white. They want to know where they stand. They want the truth. They want to be held accountable. But most importantly, I think they want to know that you care more about them than just their jersey number. And I think that's very important with regards to connecting with these guys and understanding who they are, what makes them tick, and how to help them achieve their goals, not just on the field, but off the field. And I think that takes a lot of work that's beyond the film room. And so when you talk about my leadership qualities, it is important for us to connect with our guys. It is important to know what makes them all tick. And most importantly, obviously, it's our responsibility as coaches and our obligation as coaches to help them get to where they want to go.
Hey, Robert, Corey Curtis.
Okay. Wow. Great question. Great answer. I know the NFL is more, like, impatient with head coaches, you know. I mean, like, between, like, John Harbaugh, you know, getting fired from the Ravens and Sean McDermott getting fired from the Bills. Bill Belichick, you know, it's ridiculous he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Right? Like, the NFL is strict with head coaches. However, that was a great question by the reporter, and that was a great answer by Robert Saleh. Even a better answer by Robert Saleh. Right? Like, he's going to be honest. He's going to show offensive. Sorry, he's going to be authentic. Right? Just get to know these players as who they are. Like, Tajay Spears, he's definitely not the most popular guy on the Titans. But, like, he is a super kind person. You know? He's he's a Christian, just like me. He's, like, a really nice guy. He's also someone to get happy in the locker room. Same goes with Jeffrey Simmons. He's more than just the best player on the Tennessee Titans. He is the heart of this team. He gets loud, he gets proud, and he runs. And whenever he's on the field, the crowd goes wild. Like, really. These Jeffrey Simmons, Cameron Ward, Tajay Spears, these players are more. These guys are more than just people wearing jerseys and with their numbers on field. No, it's more than that. So that was a great answer by Robert Saleh. And like I said, I'm just ready for next NFL season, and time flies, so we'll probably be there in like a blink of an eye. Not literally, of course.
Nashville, been reported that this was the team that you circled that you wanted to be the head coach of. Obviously, there have been some tough times here the last couple of years. What was it about this team that you were willing to stake your coaching future on?
Yeah, shamelessly, I probably did as much research on this organization and the people, the leadership committee in this organization than they probably did on me. And did a ton of research on everything I could in terms of from top all the way down. And what I found is that the people here are unbelievable. And getting a chance to meet everybody in person just was an...
That's what I was just saying about Mike Borgonzi and everyone. Like, we are building something great. And I know someday we're going to be better than we even were back, like, 4 years ago when we were playing in the divisional round as the number 1 seed versus the Bengals. We lost that game, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be better than we even were, like, 4 or 5 or 6 years ago.
Information to what I had already heard. I'm a firm believer that people win championships. And this organization is built to win a championship because of the people, from obviously Miss Amy all the way down. The people here are unbelievable, and so that first and foremost is what drew me close to this organization.
Go ahead.
Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone. Mike, for you, what stood out about Robert in the interview, and theoretically for both of you, what stood out about each other in the interview process that made this seem like a real fit?
Yeah, I mean, like Robert was saying, he did a lot of research on us, and we did a lot of research on you too, by the way. But a lot of the research that we did on Robert, from the places he's been, was everything that we were looking for. When I laid out those leadership qualities, the people that we talked to, he exemplified all of it. I mean, we called coaches, we called scouts, we called players that he had coached before. And so then when we had the opportunity to bring him in, you could feel his leadership as soon as he walked in. Robert has a presence about him. And then he was very thoughtful in everything that he laid out, from the off-season program to training camp, the way he was going to do practices. You know, he's very in tuned in the weight room as well, as you can see.
Yeah.
He had a plan for everything. Player development was a big part of it. That was one thing that we heard over and over again. He can develop players. Going through his plan for player development and things he does with the coaches to develop his players. Obviously, the scheme
that he's run. I mean, he's a high football IQ. And then really the biggest thing was the person too. You know, every person we called, Robert is a great human being. So when he talks about people, we want great people here. And that's a big part of it. So, appreciate you, man. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Paul Kuharski again.
That was a great answer. Yeah, Robert Saleh, he seems more than just a defensive mind, right? Like someone who's willing to help the players, work out with them. As you can tell, Robert Saleh looks like The Rock. But yeah, just someone who's there to be for the team. I mean, that alone is more than what Brian Callahan could do for the Tennessee Titans. So it's already something to be happy about.
I don't want to kick Brian out before he's in, but succession plans for successful offensive coordinators have been a thing here, and it's been reported that you presented one. If he has the success that you and the organization hope for here, what happens from there, and how do you plan for that in advance?
No, we're really excited about the staff that we've been able to assemble over the last week since we officially locked arms, if you will. But there's a plan. I think when you look at our staff, and obviously there's still some things that are fluid before we announce all of them to you, but we've got a tremendous mixture of experience and youth. We've got some young guys that'll be on the offensive staff that we feel are on the fast track to becoming coordinators. And like I said, for me, the succession plan comes from my seat in terms of what our plan is for each individual coach and how we develop them. You know, I've talked about it before. You know, the most cliche statement a coach can make is that it's our job to develop players. It's like, well, no kidding. Of course, that's our job, but who are the people developing the coaches who are asked to develop the players? You can have a coach in the Stone Age that's developing his player, but his player's never going to leave the Stone Age. So how are we keeping our coaches up to date, evolving, staying ahead of the game, so our players are constantly evolving and staying ahead of the game? So we have a program for that to make sure that our coaches are constantly evolving and pushing the envelope of what they're capable of, no different than we're going to ask our players to push the envelope of what they're capable of. So to go back to your original question, there's a plan in place. It'll kind of be revealed once we start showing off revealing our coaches. But it goes beyond the name of the coaches that are involved. It's going to go to the development that we expect them to have.
Robert, Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports. You mentioned what you want the team to look like on Sundays on the field. But when it comes to building the culture you want to see from this team in the locker room here in Nashville, what are the biggest keys you want to emphasize when starting to build those building blocks for the culture you want?
No, you know, again, it goes back to people. You know, bringing in people who are capable of executing the vision of the entire organization. We're going to preach effort. We're going to preach strain. We're going to preach violence. We want great character individuals both on and off the field, and that's where Borgo and I, in terms of evaluations, is for checking the box on making sure that these young men are actually capable of doing that. That's what builds culture, and we'll always maintain that standard. We're going to obviously with the. You know, I've always said that the best coach teams are the teams that coach themselves, but in the beginning, it's going to come from us. And at a certain point, as this team becomes better and it takes off and it understands what the standard is, the players will maintain the standard. And at the end of the day, the standard will always be the standard. But it starts with people.
You've used all gas, no brakes, love and regard. Now what? So to use yours, now what?
Now we'll always be all gas, no brake, man. But you know, it's the words are words. You know, it's always going to come back to the silent tape and what we show on tape. That's our resume. That's who we are. And you know, so whatever word we use to identify what we want, it's all fun. And, but at the end of the day, it's the tape. The tape will always show everything.
And I know you got to learn this team and watch tape to learn more about players. But of the guys you do know on this roster, what you've seen, whether it's Jeffrey Simmons, Jim Dake, a couple of Pro Bowlers, what have you noticed about players that you will have under you now?
You know, we obviously we played this group a little bit later, so we have a good feel for the young nucleus that's here, and there's a lot of exciting guys that we're all excited to work with. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to do with regards to evaluating the roster and getting with Borgo and his staff and seeing where we're at. But again, it's to be able to sit here and work with guys like Jeffrey and get to work with a guy like Cam and all the different pieces around him, and it's going to be really exciting to get this thing going.
Robert, when you talk about establishing a standard, what will it look like when the standard is set? How will people be able to recognize that your standard has been set?
Already said it, man. They're going to pop off the tape. You're going to feel like you're on the field with them with the energy, the juice, the speed, the violence. You're going to feel it from the living room. Sitting on your couch, you'll be able to feel this football team.
What do you feel like are, once you've got your staff in place, are kind
I
of
mean,
the
I
first
can
steps
feel
to
like
kinda
the positive
implement
energy
everything,
from this interview from
get things
here.
going in
So.
the direction you want it?
Man, there's so much to do starting the day. I mean, you can call it Monday, which is the first report date for the coaching staff. But there's a lot of stuff to do, from implementing scheme to evaluating the roster to creating our profile tapes for Borgo in terms of what each position should look like, to evaluating draft prospects with Borgo and his staff and free agency. So, and then obviously getting our plan set for OTAs. So there's a lot of things in terms of, there's going to be a lot of multitasking in terms of, with the new staff coming in, there's a lot of things that need to happen. We'll set those schedules accordingly, but there's a lot of T's and a lot of I's that need to be crossed and dotted.
Coach Saleh, Cortland Griffin with the three-point conversion. You spoke about connecting with players, but also setting the standard. How much is that is going to start with the younger guys like Femi Oladejo, Jim DK, like you said, Cam, and the other guys when they walk into the building and meet you for the first time?
It's everybody, young, veteran, it doesn't matter. You know, the second you walk into this building, there's a standard, there's messaging, there's an expectation of what we do both the second we walk into the building. You know, I'll say it a million times that the objective of life is to go to bed better than when you woke up. And if you don't have that intent, if you don't have that mindset, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your teammates a disservice, you're doing your family a disservice. And so it doesn't matter who it is. If you're an employee of this organization or you are part of that locker room, the expectation is that you're finding ways to get better, and that'll always be at the front of everything we do.
Robbie.
That's a great way to say it. Honestly, that's kind of what I wanted for this season, and I want it for this next NFL season, for us just to be better. You know, we need to improve, and I feel like it's kind of hard to be worse than 3-14. So I feel like that's just the goal for these next few years, just for us to get better year by year until we can be a playoff contender and even a Super Bowl contender someday.
You mentioned how the all gas, no brakes, those are just words, but behind those words there's always ideas and beliefs and just ways to operate. For you, what is the root of that? Who are some of the people that have influenced you to have this high energy approach to playing football?
You know, I kind of just said it with you know, all gas, no break. It's not just effort on the football field. It's how you approach life, how you approach regen. It's how you approach lifting. It's how you approach practice, your study habits. Again, and it's really applies to anyone in general. Applies to my wife and kids. You know, you're waking up and you're going to bed better than when you woke up, with an intent to get better. That's that is the main focus of all of it. And I've said it before. My life completely changed when I got to Seattle in my early 30s. You know, when you look at guys like Pete Carroll, Gus Bradley, Kenny Norton Jr., there's just so many people on that staff that influenced my life, and not only on the field and in terms of football, but off the field, to be a better father, a better friend, a better man, was a tremendous amount of learning for me. But Gary Kubiak, the Shanahan family, Papa Shanahan, Monty Kib, I mean, I can go with so many unbelievable coaches in this league's history that have had an unbelievable impact on me. But the trigger point for me, I had a little 3-month-old at the time, and just trying to figure out who I was as a person. Seattle couldn't have been a better spot for me.
Coach Saleh, I don't know if you've thought this far ahead yet, but do you plan on running the stairs at Nissan Stadium, and why, if yes or no?
Yeah. No, for sure. I've been doing that since I was in a GA in college. It's just a way to kind of burn some steam before the game. Otherwise, I'd be a lunatic. But no, it's just a habit I've gotten into. Call it more superstition than everything. But yeah, I plan on it unless it gets too hot out there. But probably not.
All right, Mike Patton, touring the AFC South. You mentioned wanting to call the plays this time.
Well, I mean, for the new Nissan Stadium, that will be coming in 2027. Wow, that's actually getting really close. I remember, just learning about it in, 3 years ago, getting excited. But now it's getting closer and closer day by day. Time really seems to fly, man. Yeah. It's like he said, running up the stairs. I recently saw a video on the Titans YouTube channel about them, trying to make better stairs. So, yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. It seems like a good thing to do for game day. To get, your heart rate up and, just blow off some steam, like he said.
Letting the coordinators do so. In doing that, are you still going to be, active in all parts of the practice with the offense and defense, special teams as well?
Yeah, they're 100% still being active in all that stuff. Plan on not changing anything with regard to my role, especially having gone through it, and just it's not going to be any issue.
You talked about authenticity earlier, having to be yourself. I think there were times with the Jets you might have held it back a little bit. Do you plan on cutting it more loose this time around?
Well, that's part of it, right? What I've been talking about with regard to connecting with the players. What people don't really realize with these players and the amount of work that they put in for one play. You got a 3rd and 4, fourth quarter critical situation. A player puts in hours and reps, and there's so much detail that goes into that one moment. And when that player executes that moment, what you see from me is I become a fan, and I become their parents. Just their biggest fans, and just elated for that person who just made that play. That's what you're seeing. And but it takes a connection, which goes back to why I have this desire to call plays to regain that connection, because again, you feel the moment with the player. And but to answer your question, it'll probably come out more naturally than anything.
Robert, Junior Cooper, WSMV4. You mentioned developing these players. When you look at the roster and you see how young it really is, what level of excitement does it bring you to know you can kind of get your hands in there and mold these guys to these high-level players?
No, I'm like I said, I think I speak for everyone. We're really excited about the roster. You can call it a blank canvas if you want, but there's also some veteran leadership that you can't forget about. There's some really, really cool talent on this football team, and just excited to get to work with all of them.
Robert, Julian Minnesota News 2 Nashville. What would you characterize as a successful first season for you?
That's always a good question. Obviously every team wants to win a Super Bowl. Every team wants to achieve the pinnacle of sports. That everybody does. But
yeah.
The realistic expectation is that this team understands what proper process looks like. Attacking every moment, attacking every day. Finding ways to get better every single day. And I know that's kind of cliche and kind of boring, but at the end of the day, we don't have control over the result of a football game. It's an oblong football. You don't know how it's going to bounce. But what we have control over is the way we attack our moments, the way we attack our day-to-day operation, the way we build confidence in our preparation so we can attack the heck.
Yeah, it's a day-by-day experience. I just wanted to say sorry if I seem to be up and doing stuff. I'm interested in this interview, it's just, I guess I just don't have the best attention span. Guess that's it. I'm still paying attention. I know what he was talking about, trying to improve day by day. Just wanted to apologize Because, like, I'm still listening whenever I'm not, looking at the screen. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of saying, like, what he was saying over and over again. And it isn't cliche. It isn't. It's like, just trying to get better day by day.
Got a Sunday to put ourselves in best position to get the result we want. And so from a successful being successful, what that looks like, I'll leave it up to you guys. But in this building, it's going to be about how we attack our moments.
Mike.
Robert. Oh, yeah, Ben Arthur, NFL and Fox.
Crazy.
Robert, you've talked a lot about, just how important, well, you've emphasized multiple times just how important it is going to be to have, like, the right people in the building. But, like, a lot of people say that when they come in as coaches and whatnot. So what is it about your process that gives you confidence that you can actually bring in the people to set the correct tone for the culture in the building?
That's actually a really good question. Okay. Like, some of that part was him, like, saying the same thing over and over again about improving day by day, but this is actually a good question. I'm interested now.
No, that's a great question. I think it takes a tremendous amount of discipline. I don't want to speak for Borgo, but I can speak on my history and how enamored we can get with tremendous length and speed and all the things that we think can make an unbelievable athlete. But at the same time, there's a discipline to making sure that the right people are in the building first before we go anywhere else. And we've had a history of it. I can in terms of bringing in the right guys and developing the right people. But like I said, I feel like our history kind of speaks for itself with regards to the development of these young guys.
Mike, we see Cam back there. Is there anything you could tell us about his progress and prognosis? And then Robert, how quickly does Brian communicate with his quarterback guy? How much can you and Brian talk to him about what you want him to do now, and based on the prognosis, what can he do?
Yeah, I will say that he is currently, rehabbing, and I don't want to give a specific timetable when he's going to be back, but he's still well. He's still well.
As far as when we can contact,
Yeah, it is really sad, though, because, for some reason, Shedeur Sanders made the Pro Bowl, and I bet it was because lots of other people, declined the rule of going to the Pro Bowl. However, I bet, they probably would have gotten, definitely, or I'd say they might have gotten Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders. At this point, the Pro Bowl is just a popularity contest. No reason why no one watches that. I don't even watch the Pro Bowl. But yeah, it is a shame, though, that he got hurt, because he could have been a Pro Bowler on his rookie year. Way better than Shedeur. I wouldn't say way better, but, these past few games, he's definitely been playing better. And on a worse team, too.
We'll always have friendly conversations, but there's different things that we can do from a football standpoint within the rules of the CBA. So we plan on taking advantage of all those. Hopefully, these are all things that we've got to discuss over the next week.
Robert, you mentioned the amount of research you did on the Titans before you took the job. What were the questions that you were looking to get answers to before you were comfortable taking the job?
Yeah, it's about people. Just trying to figure out the people. Obviously first and foremost, Miss Amy. And from everything I've gathered, she's an unbelievable human, and the resources that she's put into this organization is like nothing I've ever seen before. She's, for lack of a better word, putting her money where her mouth is in terms of how much she loves this team, how much she loves this city, how much she loves the people in this organization. And but starting with her and working on down to everybody within the building, it's been like I said, the people here and the conversations I've had, just trying to figure out who's real, who's authentic, and who's not. be hard pressed to find someone to say something bad about the people in this building.
Last three, we'll start with TD. You mentioned how important feel for the game is for you. Where are you as far as measuring that against analytics? And we know it's been a part of the way people coach tendencies, right?
Yeah,
that's another word
there
for
you
it.
go.
But where are you as far as weighing those two things against each other?
Yeah, analytics is just a gathering of information. We've been doing it forever, but there's this new age of football, right, where there's more numbers, there's more information, and I think there's
and it isn't as rough.
It's all still within the moment. You know, the new age of football is really a new set of information, but it's still our responsibility to make the decision that's best for the football team. It's not as simple as a book is telling you whether or not to go for it. The book doesn't account for weather. It doesn't account for whether or not Jeffrey Simmons is up against their third string guard. It doesn't account for
looking at the Jeffrey Simmons autograph.
So there's still decisions that need to be made, and we can get more detail later on how I go through that process. But it's information. It's information that we welcome, and but at the end of the day, we still have to take all that information and make the decision that's best for the team.
Wow. What?
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
A great press conference. Okay. That was great. Robert Saleh seems like a locker room guy. He's a defensive-minded head coach. So, like, if Robert Saleh, doesn't work out, he can just focus as much on the defense as possible, and we have Brian Daboll. This is great. At first I was like, I'm happy it ain't Mike. I'm happy it isn't Matt Nagy. But, I would have preferred Mike McCarthy, and now it's like, yeah, Robert Saleh was the best option. I mean, sure, there was, Sean McDermott out there, but not too sure if he would have went to Tennessee, and even if he did, I'm trying to say I'm happy. I'm happy with this decision for Robert Saleh to become the Tennessee Titans head coach, and I'm excited. Made about an hour-long reaction video to this, just giving you my information and what I think, and this was awesome, and I will see you all later. Tighten up, Titans Nation. Have a wonderful day. God bless you, and always remember that Jesus loves you. Let's go, Robert Saleh.